So next up, we have, on the small business track, stEMPOWERher from Hathaway Brown. Please welcome to the stage, Ishita Koparapu. All you have to do is hit that to get started.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Hello, judges. Hi, my name is Ishita Koparapu, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my nonprofit organization, stEMPOWERher. This is just an overview of what I'll be covering today in my presentation. So what's the problem I'm trying to solve? According to the National Science Board, in 2019, only 24% of the science and engineering workforce were women. 24%. That is not a big number. My goal is to help close this gender gap. How? Well, studies show that the earlier girls are exposed to STEM, the more likely they are to go into a STEM-related career. What's my solution to that? My solution is to create a free STEM camp that provides opportunities that are unique at no cost, just like these pictures you see right here. At the end of the experience, I want to leave these girls with the curiosity to learn more about STEM. This is a solution that I have. Who am I targeting this to? Well, because this is a local organization, after doing some research, I found that of the 97,000 STEM-related jobs in Northeast Ohio, just under 24% of them are occupied by women. That's only about 23,000, not a big number, again. For that reason, my consumer will be middle school girls in grades 6, 7, and 8, and the reason for that is because the earlier girls are exposed to STEM, the more likely they are to pursue a STEM-related career. However, my customer would be the parents of these students, as well as funders willing to put in their time, effort, and resources into the organization. What's our business model? In order to execute this solution, we need to have a proper business model to do so. We've had a successful first year in the summer of 2022, which was fully funded, and this enabled us to create a one-week camp that was a fluid structure. This meant that students had time to cover the material that was in the curriculum, but also take part in activities that they enjoyed and explore that more. At the end of the camp, we had a showstopper event that involved the STEM on the Go van. Now, this van was fully equipped with engineering tools such as 3D printers, laser cutters, woodworking tools, and much more. The students had the opportunity to go inside the van and make use of all of these equipments, as well as let their creative minds flow. That is what we're doing, nurturing creativity, innovation, and curiosity. In 2023, we hope to expand this even more. Currently, we're working on developing a 3-day model of this camp and planning to do a 1-day model for late spring. In the future, we also hope to open up a virtual model that will enable students all over the nation to gain free access to these online modules that we're creating. Funding. In order to keep this free, we need to create some kind of revenue for the organization to keep going forward. So in 2022, to conduct our camp, we received a $1,000 grant by Hathaway Brown, and about 50% of that was used to buy materials for the summer camp and let these students do experiments. About 37% of that was used for savings, so we could plan ahead and plan in the future. Another 15% was spent for operational costs and other miscellaneous expenses. Here's the list that I just mentioned about our expenses as well. In 2023, we yet again secured funding from Hathaway Brown and also received a grant from John Carroll University. And in the future, we hope to get sponsors to invest in our organization, as well as hold fundraisers to spread more awareness about our organization as well. Who is our competition? Again, because this is a local organization, I have found 3 of the most prominent STEM camps or programs in Northeast Ohio. And as you can see here, what we offer is not being offered by any of those 3. To dive a little bit more deeper, we are free to families, which makes us more accessible to a wider range of people. We offer a peer-to-peer teaching model, which means these students actually get to see what they can be in the next few years. We have a full-day format, which means that parents don't have to worry about picking up their kids in the middle of the day. And we're also working on creating a year-round model where we can develop more formats and more ways for students to get involved in this organization. And the most important thing is we're gauging this at a specific group of girls, which means that these can become women that change the STEM gap that we're seeing today. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask or visit our website at stEMPOWERher.com or contact us through our Gmail or Instagram. Thank you.
Well, great job. I am very familiar with the nonprofit sector. One thing I didn't talk about today is I actually started a nonprofit last year as well. So very commendable. One thing that's really important with nonprofits is making sure that you're collecting good data to provide for funders, so that funders will continue to fund you and give you more funding to keep going. So that said, have you started collecting some of this data of the outcomes of the different camps? And if so, what has that looked like?
So yeah, there's two different things we're working on. As you can see, I pulled up some statistics from actually a case report that we just completed. So I have a team that helps me with this. And so we wrote a case report on global statistics, national statistics, as well as local statistics, which is what I pulled out for you today. But one thing that we're also working on is tying up with a school and hosting a STEM club once a week at their school, and providing the students that sign up with a survey before that camp and a survey after that camp. And we plan to see how their interest has changed, wavered, what we can do to make that better, and where we can go from there. So that's currently in the works.
So one of the ages that is the best time to learn language, which is a mathematical skill, is like 1st to 5th grade. Mm-hmm. Why are you targeting middle schoolers specifically?
So I think the reason that I picked middle schoolers at this point is I can bring in a complexity to the STEM clubs or to the experiments that I run, whereas also once they leave middle school, they're going into this high school phase where they're trying to figure out what they want to do. And if these memories are fresh in their head, they might want to pursue that further, and that might be something that they take up as an interest. So that's why I'm going for that age group.
I may have misunderstood the slide, so first clarification. Did you say that the whole first camp was funded by $1,000?
Yes, it was.
How did you do that? It's a small amount of money for what you seem to have accomplished.
So I actually applied through a grant program that we have at our school, and I write a budget plan and what I plan on using the money for, and why I would need that much money. And so at that point, what I did was I gave them an estimate, and it ended up being $1,000. So I also added in how much I would want to keep just for backup in case I needed to invest in it more. And so that's where that $1,000 figure came from. But as you can see, I put any money that I didn't use to savings, which is what they're in now. So we're using that money for 2023 currently as well.
Time for one more.
Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey with STEM?
Yeah, so I can tell you where this came from, where this idea came from. I started working in a research lab a few years ago, and when I was starting there, I was one of 2 women that were in the lab. Another girl was a PhD student from Brazil, and until then, I had only heard about this gender gap that we're seeing in the STEM fields. I want to become a physician when I'm older, so this really resonated with me, and at that point, I had experienced what it was like to work in an all-male surrounding environment in such a big field such as research. And so from there, I did a little bit of digging, and I really wanted to get my hands deep into trying to figure out a way to combat this in my own little way, and that's where this camp idea came from.
Thank you. Awesome. Oh. One more?
No? I thought we did one.
You know what? I'm just going to ask because
We'll
it's
take one
awkward,
more.
and now I'm going to have to say something.
Go for it.
So, you said that your customer is the parents, which is obviously true because they're the ones who ultimately have to make the decision about sending a kid to camp. But I'm curious about your messaging to the kids because the parent sale seems obvious. You want to open up career opportunities for your child. How do you communicate to the kid that they should be involved?
So I think the best way to communicate to any young kid is say that there's fun involved. And I find candy to be a great motivator. So a lot of a lot of my experiments over the summer that we did were food related, where they get to make ice cream or candy, and I think that always makes them happy. So I try to make them feel a little bit, fun, because I know that when a lot of the students that I had over the summer, they didn't want to come, their parents made them go or something like that, and right when I said, there's food involved, or we're doing this really cool activity, they're like, I want to come back tomorrow too. And so I think I'm just trying to figure out what kids like, and I found candy to be a great motivator.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Big round of applause for Ishita and stEMPOWERher. And a big round of applause for both small business track teams.